What up, Corner Crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Hip Hop Happy Hour podcast. I am your host, as always, Brad Baily. I want to give a shout out to y'all, man, for tuning in. Give us a like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss it. You know what I mean? But yeah, we back, and I want to jump right into it, man. We're kicking off November with we're gonna do a little something different. We're gonna be focusing behind the scenes. You know what I mean? We always have artists, producers, DJs, but we're gonna be going with promoters and production people and things like that to get those kind of views. But without further ado, first guest of the month. We're going to bring up Kenny Mercer of Full Blast Booking. He's coming out of Norwalk, Connecticut. What up, bro? What up?
What's going on, man? Thank
Hey,
you for having me.
appreciate you coming on. I know we tried before and we had some technical difficulties, but we back. We back. You know how we do.
Yeah,
But
that was a while ago too, man. Thank you for
yeah, it was. It's
thank you
tough,
for
man.
following through on that.
We book up, man. We book up, so it's kind of hard to reschedule because we book so far in advance. But
Nah, I feel you, man.
we fill time. You know what I mean? We got to fill that time. But
Put it up.
the way we like to kick this off is for the people that don't know who you are. Tell us who you are and what you're about.
So I'm my name is Kenny Mercer. Some know me as my artist name Deuce. I own and operate Full Blast Booking and Tour for Life, mental health charity tour. I've been doing this as a business owner for about 5 years now. And Tour for Life, which we'll probably get more into, is about 3 years old now. Um, so yeah, man, we specialize in booking indie artists on tours. We book tours, and we book artists from all over the country that join our tour runs, and we also do a lot of other things like put out mixtapes and shoot videos and do songs. We have a whole roster of super dope artists from a lot of different regions and different areas across the country and beyond. And yeah,
Sounds dope, bro. Yeah, you do a lot of good. You do a lot of good for mental health, and we got to commend you for that. You know what I mean? You really
thank
do
you.
because there's not too many people that step up, especially in hip hop, that even talk about it. But there's also the flip side to that coin is you also have some detractors out there. You know what I mean? And it's just like a normal anything else, any other business. You have fans and you have people that are kind of against you. You know what I mean? And you know that you've been in this game for a minute. What do,
For
what do you
sure.
what do you got to say to those people that think like because it's a charity and you're doing it for a charity that think that maybe it's a scam or maybe like you're trying to get one over because people do. What do you got to say about that? What do you got to say to those people?
To be honest, I really haven't come across too many of those people, but one of the first things I did when I started Tour for Life was partner with an official charity organization to legitimize everything, and everything is 100%, on the books, and we have raised over $43,000 for charity in 3 years. So, you know,
Right. That's dope. That's dope. Oh yeah. Like I said, a lot of people don't really talk about it in the hip hop world. So it's something that it really needs to be dealt with, really.
yeah.
'Cause it doesn't really help the culture overall. You know what I mean? It really doesn't.
Nah, our biggest thing, man, is that a lot of genres of music have been kind of talking about mental health for a while now. You see it in metal, you see it in, pop, you see it in rock and roll, and really hip hop, was one of the last genres of music, to catch on. And as you know, hip hop, is not just a genre of music, it's a whole culture. And when you think about it, it's kind of mind blowing that isn't the one to really shine a light on it, considering that, hip hop heads, have been through more than your average, and it's basically, mental health is something that obviously affects everybody. But when you're talking about trauma, loss, trauma due to violence and upbringing, and trauma due to drugs and alcohol, and you know what I mean. A lot of hip hop heads that grew up in those kind of environments, man, have a lot of trauma,
Mm.
and there's a lot of loss involved in that as well. And so yeah, like hip hop really needed, and still does, to pay a lot more attention to these things. And that's what's great about Tour for Life, is that you know we kind of target a demographic of hip hop heads that are in their 30s, 40s, or maybe even a little older. They grew up in that golden era of boom bap hip hop. And to see dudes like Ghostface, for instance, take the stage, at Tour for Life, and rocking his hits, but then, goes on this whole speech about how mental health is so important, and don't be afraid to talk to somebody or see a therapist or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, we need more of that, and that's what feels so special about Tour for Life, is not only are we raising a lot of money, but we're also raising a ton of awareness, and like, really making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And it's like, it floors you when people come up to you and tell you about how this tour saved their lives, because they almost kill themselves, and they tell you these terrible stories about the things that they've been through, and it's really heavy, man. So circling back to like what you said before about anybody that might think it's not legitimate, it's like, when you hear those stories, dude, it's like, what do these people want me to stop? Like, we're helping people out there. Like, would you feel better if we weren't helping people? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? So we're good, man, and we're on a great trajectory. We're surrounded by beautiful people and talented people, and professionals in this mental health world. And we're a very strong team, and we're doing really good things in the community, and it's thanks to the community. You know what I mean? We have a lot of support, and it's it's been a journey. It's been quite the journey, but we've booked some legendary artists. As you know, we've had, like I said, Ghostface. We've had Cannabis, Onyx, Chic Luch, G Rap, Nems, 38 Special. The list goes on and on. You know what I mean? So it's been quite the honor to do this and do it for such a great cause.
You've been on a hell of a run, for real. Like anybody that's been paying attention to Full Blast Book in the past couple years, you guys have been on one hell of a run. And you're right, awareness is almost as more important as the money aspect. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? For sure. Because of the awareness, it's that's something that you can't put a price on. Like you said, people tell you stories that their lives are hitting rock bottom, and there's no price can be put on that, no matter what a donation says.
Yeah,
But
you can't put a price on a life, you know what I mean? And
exactly.
but like I said, our whole movement when it comes to Tour for Life is backed by Mental Health Connecticut, who have a great staff of very compassionate people, and they understand exactly what you just said. Yeah, raising funds is great, you know what I mean? We're very proud of that. But it's really what making a difference in the community, and changing people's lives for the better, saving lives, teaching things about how to better manage your mental health on a day-to-day basis can really help you. You know what I mean? And that might sound corny or whatever at first, that's because it's so heavily stigmatized. But once you realize that it's cool, you know what I mean? It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to seek help when things aren't, totally crystal clear. And like I said before, if you're dealing with loss, or you're dealing with any type of trauma, everybody's got situations in their lives and things that they deal with. You might have a family member or a friend, struggling, or even putting you in difficult situations. We've all been through shit. So like, there's proper ways to manage that and navigate that path without losing your mind, and staying sane out here, and staying on the right path, and and happy, because
Mm,
that is the meaning of life, right? Be happy, happiness.
right. Yeah, staying sane is a tough one nowadays. It really is because
especially nowadays.
you're gonna have a lot. You got the outside world, you got social media world, you got work, you got family. It's a tough road to walk. But I want to kick it back to when you were growing up and your hip hop influences and your journey through hip hop.
For sure, man. Man, the first hip hop album I ever owned was on cassette tape. It was LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. And I think I stole it from my older brother. um, and was into all that stuff from back in the day. Then of course once I discovered Wu-Tang Clan,
Mm.
it was pretty much a rap. You know what I mean? That was what made me want to get involved in hip hop and started writing rhymes. And I was always more on the underground tip. When I started really exploring things, it was like back then it was like Necro, Ill Bill, Mortal Technique had popped out, and a lot of those old like underground nonfiction. And I remember when Jedi Mind first, when I first heard them. And from then, I got into the whole world of underground hip hop. And of course I was around in like the late 90s and early 2000s for all the, DMX and 50 Cent and, the Locks and, all of that classic stuff. But my whole life I've always listened to a lot of other genres of music as well. I'm a huge into hardcore and hardcore punk, ska, indie rock. I've been going to those kind of shows too, my whole life. And um, since I was, younger, I think I booked my first show when I was in middle school, like in the cafeteria, like with a couple bands from the school. Um, so live music has always just been something I've loved and had a huge passion for.
People that don't go to shows, I don't understand them. People that would rather sit and watch it on TV or something like that, I don't understand them because they don't get that experience. The live experience is nothing like it. No matter
Right.
if you're in a club with 10 people or if you're in an arena with 50,000, you can still get that same vibe coming off that stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a special energy to live music that you can only describe it when you feel it, when you're there for
Right.
it.
For real. And I'm on the promoter tip of being a little guy compared to what you're doing right now. We're doing shows once every 3 months, just trying to get into it, bring people together. You know what I mean? Just like to have a good time. That's my focus.
For sure.
I'm not even in this trying to make money. I want to have these artists seen and be on stage and get some experience and maybe who knows who's in the crowd to catch somebody. Because that's another thing, networking in this game. Networking I don't think is done right. So what's your idea about networking and going further in the future with full blast booking?
Well, as of right now, we're just sticking to the basically like the 5-year plan for when we started Tour for Life, and we're pretty much on year 3 now. So we're just kind of learning from, certain things as we go and building on the things that really work. And you know, last year was obviously, it still is, but this past summer when we had Tour for Life 2023 is 50th anniversary of hip hop, and the actual 50th anniversary date fell during the tour
Yep.
on August 11th. So we really focused on trying to put together a lineup that was fitting for that, like a real, like I said before, like a golden age kind of boom bap. We had Cormega and we had G Rap and um we had Onyx. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was it was a lot. It was definitely our biggest lineup that we've ever had. um as a whole, it was just like banger after banger after. It was Nems and then Cormega, Sky Zoo, um Onyx and G Rap. And back in June we had the kickoff show with 38 Special.
Mm.
So it was a lot, and it was in a year that, you know these hip hop shows and concerts were just coming at you a mile a minute all summer long. You know what I mean? And we're not Live Nation. We're like you said, the little guys on the block. You know, we can't really compete. You know what I mean? So despite the best lineup, we ever had, even though we had great shows and good turnouts and everything was fire, but like I was expecting, a little bigger, but I realized like it's oversaturation right now. So it was cool to like right after Tour for Life was over, we got back to like some more underground shows, and then the Rugged Man tour, which is a lot more of an underground thing.
Mm.
And we're back to like kind of what we do, and like, real packed shows, and a lot of energy, people stage diving and crowd surfing and going crazy. And it's started with our underground hip hop 50 show that we did in Brooklyn. It was a sellout. That was with Rod Digga and Young Z and Rusty Jux and Acrobatic.
Mm.
And so we decided to extend that into a full tour, which we have coming up in November, or yeah, in a couple weeks. And so yeah, we're kind of I'm sticking with that. It's good to be back to that. You know what I'm saying? Because like underground hip hop is kind of our whole foundation, and it has been for years since I started Full Blast back in. Full Blast was used to be a crew, not a company. You know what I mean? But that's coming out of like 2012. You know what I mean? We've been doing this for a long time.
So give us the backstory on Full Blast.
So I was an artist. Deuce Bug is my artist name, and I was an artist for God from 2010, 2011. Is when I started, and then I started Full Blast as a crew. It was just a bunch of dudes that were rappers, and we had some, graffiti artists and DJs and different people down with us. And we really, like, as far as Connecticut was concerned, because we were local kids back then, we had CT on Smash. Like, we were selling out venues and just really doing a lot. And that's when I started booking my own shows and putting a lot of artists on. And we started our own ticket system back then to get artists paid for shows, and everybody was doing our shows and moving these tickets that we would like print out ourselves. It was before all this like digital, super digital stuff these days. And from that, I just really saw like what I love doing is just organizing events and putting shows together, bringing people together, like you said.
Mm.
And was doing it, going strong as an artist. I was on the Vans Warp Tour for 6 years in a row as an artist, and I was touring the country and doing it full time. Like I didn't have a job anymore. I was paying all my bills, doing everything from that. And then I ended up 2015 or 16. I ended up getting a job offer, a really good job offer, just like kind of like a real job, as you would say. But it was a very good situation for me, and I was starting to get real tired of some of the politics and some of the shit that I had to deal with as an artist all the time, grinding. And so I decided to kind of like back up off of it a little bit. But one of the things I wanted to do, one of my goals was to kind of like start a company, like a booking company. And I had all these connections from all over the country because I was booking my own tours as an artist, and I started putting on artists from around the way to come with me on tour. I wanted to keep booking tours for artists. So it was a long road. I started booking indie tours for shout out to people like, Paranormal Adam, Be Divine, um, Simple. These dudes were all, down with Full Blast way back then, before it was even a company, when I just started, doing all these tours and putting out artists on the road that I wasn't performing at, you know what I mean, anymore. So that just kind of grew and grew, and I started doing headliners now on the tours. Like I booked a tour for Fred the Godson, rest in peace. And then I booked a tour for Pace One, booked a tour for Ren Thomas a few years, later. And then I realized that was kind of the move. That's what artists wanted. They wanted to open up for like a bigger artist on tour. And the indie tours were cool, but they weren't, as well attended, and the artists didn't get as fired up for them. So like I decided to kind of move in that direction, and we started booking, more tours, and in yeah, like I said, it's been like 5 years now, and I've booked full tours for Rod Digga, Young Z, Pace, CL Smooth, now RA the Rugged Man, and and then a few years into that is when I kind of got the idea about Tour for Life,
Mm.
because I wanted to give back and I wanted to do something with a cause behind it. You know what I mean? And when a friend of mine in the music scene in Connecticut killed himself, I kind of realized, okay, this is kind of what I need to do this for. It needs to be for like mental health, suicide prevention, because this is getting out of control.
Mm.
There's too much loss, and being that, I was I was around what 36 at the time. Um, and I'm a father, my son was raising my son, and like knowing that the youth suicide numbers are not going down,
Mm.
um especially then COVID hit, you know what I mean, and like things were just bad, and I realized like this was what needs to be done.
Mm.
This is like mental health for hip hop especially, but just for the indie underground community in general. This is what needs to happen. So I reached out to a bunch of like, you know, nonprofit organizations. I hit up like NAMI, I hit up the suicide hotline, people, and
Mm.
eventually, connected with MHC, and we saw eye to eye on a lot of things, and we agreed to partner up. And as soon as COVID was over and the world kind of reopened up, I was ready to go, because I had this thing booked over. I had 2 years almost to plan it. And that first year we had Brother Ali, Ritz, um, Capadonna, and we had booked Rakim. So for the first year we went out and did it. This was the first time doing this, and Tour for Life is a different main headliner every night, but it's a tour hitting a different region. So by the time we hit the last show in Connecticut, which was Capadonna and Rakim, we got the call that Rakim got COVID and he
Mm.
had to cancel. We were like, damn, but Kappa stepped up as the main headliner, and it was still really dope. And that was the first run. Ended up raising $11,000 that first run, and like I said before, heard a lot of crazy, sad stories and how so many people needed this. And keep in mind, this was coming right out of COVID, where a lot of people were dealing with a lot of depression and a lot of crazy shit going on with the world. So we were like, yeah, we got to do this. We got to keep doing this. So just immediately started planning the next year, and now we're 3 years, 3 years in.
Uh, people don't understand what it goes behind promoting and booking these shows, and there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of stress involved.
Yeah.
You're gonna get some gray ass hairs, even though you're not trying to get them. They're gonna come on no matter what, because we
Yeah.
know, you and I both know. You got to juggle these artists. There's so many personalities and egos and this sort of thing, and then you can write up your bill and you'll be like, all right, this is where everybody's performing. This is your time. Bop, bop, bop. Last minute, somebody wants to switch their time. They want to go in the middle. They want, you know how it goes, man. What do you do with the divas?
Well, we have a pretty, solid system in place. We send out agreements to every artist that we book, and for a tour, that is. And we make sure to keep everything fair. You know what I'm saying? We don't pick and choose anything when it comes to these artists, because that's when feelings get hurt and that's when the egos come into play. We fill all the time slots in order the artists confirm. You know what I'm saying? So that way it's fair. You want to go on later, confirm earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be hitting me up and then hit me up 3 weeks later and then hit me up and then
Right.
finally get on. You know what I mean? Because by that time your time slot's going down. And we have different kind of just simple guidelines, to make sure that everyone is on the same page. And that's like showing up on time, simple stuff. You know what I mean? Promoting the right way.
Hmm.
And it really has worked very well. And people understand that, even if if they want to, I don't know, for instance, show up halfway through the show, even though they were supposed to be there at load-in, and thinking that's maybe going to get them a later time slot. They're going to find out that nah, you missed your slot and you can't perform now, and you signed an agreement. So you know what I mean. Don't do that if you can't commit to it. And it kind of, it forces a little bit of professionalism. And a big part of what we do is like, a lot of artist development kind of stuff. Like a lot of times when these artists are signing this agreement, it's the first time they've ever signed something like that.
Mm.
Or when they go on tour, it's the first time they've ever been on tour. So we want to kind of teach them these things, and hopefully they don't have to learn the hard way, because that's what we don't want to do.
Right.
And yes, sometimes it gets to be a little, complicated when, you don't want to tell somebody that they can't perform. So you adjust the set times as much as you can or whatever. But, sometimes people make it really difficult for themselves. But when you lay everything out, and then once you've been doing it for a certain, amount of years, and you kind of have the reputation of, do what you say you're going to do, be a man of your word, because if you're not, you know what I mean? Like you'll be held to it.
Mm.
Cause, doesn't happen that often, but in many, many tours that we've booked, there have been the occasional artist that does find out the hard way. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
you have to, you just have to do what you say you're going to do. That's really what it comes down to. We can all do that. I do it. So, you know
Mm.
what I mean? You could do it too.
Yeah, professionalism is key.
Yep.
That's one thing a lot of people don't carry themselves with, and they can't separate professionals from friendship. That's
Right.
one thing, and you got to be able to, and it's cool to be buddy buddy with everybody, but they also need to learn that there's points in this game where you can only succeed by separating those relationships.
Yep. And we have a full roster of touring independent artists that are so talented and so dope, and they do our tours all the time,
Mm.
and they lead by example. You know what I mean? So when other artists come on our tours and they see these dudes are, like you said, our best friends, they're family to us. Shout out to Miss Laura Michelle, So Soon, Tony Dimes, Mickey Bourbon, Simple, Be Divine, um, Mr. Rozzy, Show Rocka. We got artists from all over the country, and when we come together, we are best friends, but they move so professionally that, when other artists come into the tour, they see them and they lead by example. They're like, oh, okay, these dudes are like best friends with the promoter and they're there on time. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're moving right. They're doing their thing. They're showing up at load-in, setting up their merch, networking with other artists, getting right with the DJ. They're not showing up late and then expecting the DJ to like, automatically know all their stuff, because they haven't taken the time to communicate with him. That's what, when you're a professional and you do this and you've been doing this for a long time, that's how you move. You know what I mean? So shout out to our whole roster of artists, man, that get it, and they show up, and they kind of, for the inexperienced artists that come on, oftentimes they kind of put them under their wing and teach them and show them a thing or two. You know what I mean? And it's all love, and that's really what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's a support system, it's community, and when you're part of a community, you owe it to each other to support each other. And that's what kind of sets us aside from a lot of this rap stuff that you see in rap shows that go on, where it's all very standoffish and very egomaniacal, and everybody's better than everybody else, and blah blah blah. And like we chuck that at the door, man. That's not what this is about. Full Blast is about love and supporting each other, and that's why so many artists have such great experience on it. Is they see that, it's not just the circle of other artists you meet, it's the real fans.
Mm.
It's the people, the tribe that we have, put together, that supports this thing from state to state, city to city, and it's all love, and it's working. You know what I mean? That's the important part.
Yeah, at this point in our world, we need to come together more than we need to be divided,
Right.
for sure. Because the way the world's going nowadays, we don't know what could kick off tomorrow, and you definitely gotta love your brothers, man. Love your brothers and sisters, because we all are in this shit together. We're all in the same damn boat. We're all holding the same damn oar. So let's paddle the right way. You know what I mean? So
Facts.
another issue that is in this game is, especially with some promoters, is pay to play. Um, What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on pay to play? How do you implement the practice if you do? And where do you think that's going in the future?
Oh man, pay to play is whack. And that's why it bothers me when people say that Full Blast is pay to play.
Mm,
Because not only the money that you got to put up as an artist to do our tour is a actual donation that goes to charity, and it's low. It's not a lot of money. And I'm glad you asked, because I literally just this morning got a text from a promoter from Art Basel down in Florida, right? With a 3-day event with 3 headliners. They got DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia, they got Freddie Gibbs, and they got Stove God Cooks. Now, for a 10-minute set, it's $1,500. Okay.
eh,
And for a prime slot now, it's 2,000, right?
Gee,
Not even like direct support, prime slot, whatever that means. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Bro, I've inquired with dudes who put on big shows out here, because I'm an artist too, you know what I mean? I want to know what's going on. Like Benny the Butcher, Jizza tours that came through my state. I checked in with the promoter. It's a ticket thing where you gotta purchase 50 tickets up front, and the tickets are $40 each.
Mm,
Do the math on that, man. That's G's that
right.
you gotta put up. Now that is pay to play, man. You know what I'm saying? A dude asking for a couple $100 that goes to charity, that is an actual donation, that is a tax deductible donation, official legitimate donation, is not pay to play. And it's like, as a owner of a booking company, I do provide a service when I book a tour. You know what I'm saying? Outside of Tour for Life, like I've been doing tour booking for a long time, and to charge for your services, there's nothing even really wrong with that, because you could ask any of the artists on our roster, the artists who are tour, like I work. You know what I'm saying? Like I go to work for these artists. I make sure things run smoothly. It is a service I provide. Those cost money. You know what I'm saying? And but like I said, when it's Tour for Life, when it's the bigger shows, like the bigger headliners that we book, that's a donation to charity, man.
Mm,
And it's a relation thing that I'll keep between me and the artist. So I'm not gonna come on a show like this and just start spouting out,
right.
numbers and all that. But like, bro, it is affordable, and it is nowhere near what these pay to play promoters are charging artists to do this. It's crazy. I heard my boy in Philly told me it was like a G, or like $900 for a 10-minute set to open for 38 Special, and you weren't even on like the same stage as him or something. And it's just like I hear about these stories, and it's like my mind is blown. Like, people call me pay to play. That's crazy. Like, that ain't it, man. If you want to take anything seriously as anyone representing yourself. Like if you're an artist, an independent artist, you are in business for yourself. You are basically a business owner. You
You're
are your business.
you are
You're
your
not gonna
brand.
get you're not gonna get nowhere without investing in yourself, dude.
Mm,
And these artists know everything costs money. Recording your music costs money. Mixing and mastering costs money.
mhm,
Shooting a video costs money. Photography costs money. Graphic design costs money. You know what I'm saying? Pressing up an album, if you choose to go that route, that costs money. Printing merch costs money. You have to put money up. You know what I'm saying? And touring is the one thing that people will tell you, especially in 2023, that will get you real results. That's the only way to get paid. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like, what do you get? You're not getting paid off streams. Record stores don't exist no more. You know what I mean? Record labels are going obsolete.
mm,
It's all about touring. So touring is the one thing that's going to get you real results. But that's where people are like, oh, don't pay to play. Man, if you're going to invest in yourself, right? Maybe that's something you should think about investing in. You know what I mean? And you definitely don't pay no $1,000, $1,500 for a 10-minute set. That's crazy. But you have to find the right avenues and the right people that are going to hook you up. And nothing is free, man. You know what I mean? So like the artists that want to reach out to Full Blast Booking, we get a lot of inquiries every day.
mm,
We're very fair with everybody, and we give everybody the same exact message. We don't pick and choose who's what. You know what I mean? Just like I said, when we put a lineup together, we don't pick and choose who's going to perform where. It's all about a system and a formula that we have put together
Mm.
that makes sense. You know what I mean? And so far, it's been doing really well, and it's been, just very successful.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, people don't get the business, and like we were talking earlier about marketing and promoting, business is key. Like you have to have a very rudimentary understanding of business to even be in this, to try to make a dollar. Because like you said, it's tough, man. Streaming, they're not going to pay, and even now, streaming's not going to pay even more so with Bandcamp being bought out and all these other companies starting to switch up their pay model. The artists aren't going to make shit in the future from any type of streaming whatsoever. I can see Bandcamp like failing within the next 3 to 5 years if they really change their business model and
Yeah.
stop paying the artists the percentages that, because they're the only ones that are actually paying a little bit of money right now. So
Yep.
I can foresee a very tight future with how we consume hip hop in our culture. It's going to be more streamlined to being at a live show or watching live on Instagram or Facebook or that. And it sucks that the business is going that way, but that's just the way the world's going. The world is more technologically advanced every single day. And so we just have to roll with it. And like you said, you have a model, you have a business model, you have a plan. A lot of people don't have plans. They just jump right in and they think, all right, I'm going to make this song, I'm going to put it on Spotify, and it's going to get me 2 million plays, and I'm going to be a hit. It doesn't work that way. You're right. Money, it takes building. And
Right.
and a lot of people don't have that funding, and it sucks. Funding is one of the hardest things to come by for anyone, podcasters, bookers, promoter, whoever, whatever you're doing. Funding is hard, but we have to support each other. You're right. It's just the way it is with our culture. You have to support each other. We have to build a community, and we have to build our own networks and do
Yep.
our own thing. We need our own streaming services. We need our own social media platforms. That's where we should be striving to go. We should be the Bill Gates. We should be the Zuckerbergs. And I don't think that the mentality is there yet.
Nah, it's weird. It's like it was there. There was like a real entrepreneurial vibe in hip hop for a while there, in like the late '90s, where it's
Yeah.
like people, even like Jay-Z, kind of was like, right, he sold all them records out of his trunk, you know what I mean? And what was it? What did he say? It was like 100,000 um out the trunk, you know what I mean? It's like people don't have that kind of, like, do you understand like how many how many physical copies you got to sell? Like, people don't have that kind of hustle in them, anymore. It's all about the internet made everybody lazy, and it's all about, views and streams and things that aren't even real to me. I've always been about the real, the physical. Like,
Mm.
that's what happens at a show. You're in the physical, you know what I'm saying? And now in 2023, the price of listening to music has gone way down. The price of seeing music, concert tickets, etc., are just getting more and more expensive because people are doing it more and more. And it used to be like so annoying to like want to consume music when the only way you could really is like go to a CD store, and CDs were $20, and it was like,
Right.
damn, I want to buy all these CDs, but I only have like $40, and like now you could listen to whatever the hell you want whenever you want, and even before that, it was like you could download illegally on the internet, that was it. And now it's like, man, if you're not willing to get out there and perform and build a fan base that way, then you better have some like crazy viral situation happening and be one of those dudes that could just rap on camera, selfie videos every day, doing all the challenges and the duets and all that. That's not me, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm old fashioned, when it comes to like all that new wave social media stuff. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm not, I don't do the selfies and all that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I always said, even as an artist, man, my whole career, I would much rather perform a song for you than play you my track. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? I just passionate about live music, and it's interesting to me how it's come full circle where that is the method nowadays. If you want to be successful as an artist, you gotta play shows, you gotta tour. And there's a lot of artists that don't really like performing live, and it's like, well, you
Mm.
better have something up your sleeve, man, because that's the way right now.
Right. Yeah, you see some of these artists that get on stage and they have zero presence, zero
Yeah,
charisma, but they can spit. And it's like, damn, you have that so much talent, but you have to work on this other part, and it's all showmanship. It's all smoke and mirrors, man. I usually say we're selling snake oil. We are the old carnies rolling around town selling snake oil. Come look at our show. Come look at our show. And you have to have a little bit of charisma. You have to have that work ethic. Put in the time, put in the work. And social media, man, we see it. It's all encompassing lately. It's going to get worse and worse as time goes on. It's going to take over more. So we, as older heads, I hate using that term, old head, but we are old heads. We need to figure it out, like TikTok, bro. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing on TikTok, but it's an avenue, and a lot of people, like we had talked about, marketing and promoting yourself. Some of these kids have social media on lock, man. They just know what to hit, what hashtag to put to hit. It's kind of ridiculous. It's almost an art form, I think. Social
yeah,
media. It
yeah.
is.
Oh, for sure.
It's wild.
Yeah, if it weren't, shout out to my assistant Joanne too, because if it weren't for her, like the whole marketing thing, like I said, man, I don't get that
Mm.
social media stuff and the hashtags and all that. It's like research data, that we've tapped into that you know, sometimes artists complain about that too, but we require that you put certain hashtags and you
Mm.
share the same flyer image and don't make your own flyer and do that because it's mainly because it's research data that shows that like if it's the same image shared over and over again by all these different regions with the same hashtags, it will trigger algorithms and more people will see it, and that's the whole point, you know what I mean? And there's other reasons too, but like it starts there. You have to, like you said, the marketing end of it is so important, and I see artists that like want to post it without using hashtags, and yeah, that's why you got 3 likes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it really does make a difference.
Mm. It's tough. It really is tough. It's tough to keep up too, because you have so many different social media platforms to use, and you got to cross market here and do that. Then you might forget something. It is tough. It's a lot to deal with in what we're doing, and you do need help. You need a team. You need a team behind you. I say
Yep.
it all the time. Anyone that's out here saying, "Oh, I'm a lone wolf. I'm gonna do all this by myself," you're not. You're not. You're lying to yourself, and you really need to sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and think about if you want to do this, because if you want to do this the right way, you have to have a solid team.
Right.
So,
Right. Exactly, man. And it's not easy being that. That's one thing I always say too, man. It's not easy being an independent artist at all.
mm,
So I get it. You know what I mean? And I understand why artists want to move a certain way sometimes. But for us, the best way that we've all collectively experienced success, like me as a owner of a company and these dudes as artists and girls as artists, we're all happy because this thing works.
mm,
So like it starts with support, support of each other, support of community, and being there for one of another and being real with it. It's not like one of these things where everybody is like giving each other dap, like, yeah, you did your thing, but it's fake. You know what I
mm,
mean? It's not that. You have to be real with it, and if you're not willing to support your community, then you probably don't belong in this circle anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
mm.
really our foundation is community.
It really is. It really is. We're gonna be coming to the end of the hip hop happy hour, man. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it's been in the works for a minute, and we finally got it done. It's been a great talk.
Thank
Tell us
you.
where we can find you, all your social media platforms, what you got going on in the future, any tour dates you want to drop on us. Let us know now, bro.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we'll start with that, man. We got tomorrow night. We're in Brooklyn, the third, and that's Secret Pour. We're going back to the spot where we had our, the underground hip hop 50 joint that sold out the end of August. So I'm really excited about that. We have a great lineup for that. And then November 16th through 19th is the Underground Hip Hop 50 tour because we extended it to a full tour. It's hitting um, Revere, Massachusetts, which is like the Boston market. So
Mhm.
hopefully I'll see y'all out there. Then it's hitting Connecticut, Philly, and Brooklyn. And then next up after that, we have a few local showcases over the winter. But the crew is I'll hit you with an exclusive announcement. The crew is going on our first ever European tour.
Okay.
Rusty Jux is headlining it. It's in March. We're going to the UK, and more info to come on that. But that is absolutely happening, 100% confirmed. And then Tour for Life will be coming up this summer, and that's going to be another big one. So for all the artists watching, that want to tap in, we're full blast booking on Instagram and Facebook as well. And our website is fullblastbooking.net. You can check out a lot of tour recap videos and footage from our shows, as well as more info on Tour for Life and our whole roster of artists. We have a whole page with all of our roster acts with their music, videos, etc. And they're all worth checking out. I know that you appreciate good hip hop, good indie underground hip hop. We got a ton of that, man. Shout out to Conflict. Shout out to Mickey Bourbon, So Soon, Tony Dimes. Shout out to Simple, and shout out to Mr. Rozzy, Show Rocka, Be Divine, all the artists that rock with us, man. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody here or there, my bad, but there's so many dope artists that rock with us. We're blessed to have such an incredible roster. So if you're on the website, check the roster page out, man, and support these artists. Follow them on all their Instagram and social media platforms and all that because they work hard, man. They deserve it.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Again, man, appreciate you for what you do with the culture. And yeah, hip hop happy hour, man. Appreciate you coming on. And
Thank you.
we out.
All
Peace.
right. Peace.